I crack 2 eggs and place them in a saucepan with a thick bottom. I add 1 cup of white sugar, which is about 200 grams or 7 ounces. Then 2 tablespoons of flour, around 20 grams or 0.7 ounces, and right after that, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, maizena, approximately 16 grams or just over half an ounce. I mix a bit and optionally add 2 packets of vanilla sugar, which equals 16 grams or a little more than half an ounce, although you can also use a generous teaspoon of vanilla extract. I have ready 2.5 cups of whole milk, that's 600 milliliters or 20 fluid ounces, which you can use cold, room temperature, or slightly warm, whichever you prefer or have on hand. I pour in a little bit of the milk to start mixing and then add the rest of the whole milk. I take the saucepan to the stove and begin stirring while I wait for it to boil, keeping the heat high. I stir constantly to avoid lumps, and once it comes to a boil, I let it cook for 1 more minute. Since it contains cornstarch and flour, boiling helps eliminate the raw taste. Once the cream thickens, I transfer it to a heat-proof bowl, cover it with plastic wrap directly touching the surface, and let it cool slightly before refrigerating for at least an hour. You can also prepare it the night before and use it the next day without any problem. Now I'm going to prepare the sponge cake sheet to make a Swiss roll. I crack 5 eggs, separating the whites into one bowl and the yolks into another. I have 1 cup of sugar, which is 200 grams or 7 ounces, and I'm going to divide it into 2 halves. I add 1/2 to the bowl with the yolks and reserve the other half for the egg whites. I start beating the egg whites, gradually adding the sugar in 2 or 3 batches, beating until I get a stiff and glossy French meringue. This is how it should look, firm and shiny. I set the meringue aside and go to the bowl with the yolks and sugar. Optionally, I add 2 packets of vanilla sugar, that's 16 grams or just over half an ounce, and beat until well combined and the yolks lighten in color. I add 4 tablespoons of very hot water, which is 60 milliliters or a 1/4 cup, mix carefully because it can splash at this point, and then add 1/2 cup of cornstarch, about 65 grams or 2.3 ounces, and 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour, also around 65 grams or 2.3 ounces. I also add 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, which is about 2 grams or 0.07 ounces. I start mixing with the mixer off to avoid a mess, then beat a little more until everything is well combined and lump-free. Next, I add half of this mixture into the bowl with the meringue and gently fold it in with a spatula to avoid losing the incorporated air. Then I add the other half of the yolk mixture and mix carefully again. With the batter ready, I pour it onto a large baking tray lined with parchment paper, ungreased. I spread the batter evenly until smooth and bake it in a preheated oven at 170 degrees Celsius, which is 340 Fahrenheit, for 15 to 20 minutes, until golden and fully baked. When I take it out of the oven, I place another sheet of parchment paper on top and flip it over. I remove the bottom paper and place a third clean sheet on top so that it's wrapped between 2 papers. I roll it up while still hot so it takes on the Swiss roll shape and let it cool. Meanwhile, I prepare the filling cream. I take the chilled pastry cream out of the fridge, it's now firm. In another bowl, I place 250 grams of vegetable whipping cream, that's about 9 ounces or a generous cup, in this case, I use ambient Puratos cream, and beat it with an electric mixer until stiff peaks form. This is how it should look, it forms waves and holds perfectly. I love this cream because it goes a long way. Now I take the firm pastry cream and beat it briefly with the electric mixer. Look how creamy and beautiful it becomes. The texture changes completely after beating. I add half of this cream to the whipped cream and beat to combine. Then I add the other half and beat again until I get a firm, delicious cream that's perfect for filling. This is how it should look: extra firm, holds its shape, and looks beautiful for decorating. If I swipe my finger through it, the mark stays. Love it. Now I'm going to unroll the sponge cake. I remove the papers and lay it flat. I place 5 or 6 tablespoons of the cream in the center and spread it just in the middle, leaving the sides free on both edges, so the filling doesn't spill out when rolling. I place ripe bananas on top of the cream. You can use any fruit you like, but I had these bananas and they were just right. I carefully roll up the sponge cake, wrap it with the paper, giving it a little pressure so it keeps its shape, and let it chill in the fridge so it sets well. I place the dessert in the fridge to cool while I prepare the chocolate ganache for the drip. I use 1 cup of dark chocolate, which is about 150 grams or 5.3 ounces, 40 milliliters of milk, about 2.5 tablespoons, and 30 grams of butter, roughly 2 tablespoons. You can use butter or even oil if you prefer. I microwave it to melt slightly and mix. Once it's fluid, I let it cool a bit and thicken slightly. Because the drip works better when the chocolate is a bit thicker, it looks much nicer. While the drip cools, I cut the cake roll. I'm cutting it into 5 pieces and standing them upright like little logs. This cake looks amazing. I place the drip into a piping bag. You can also use a bag or even a spoon to create the drip effect I'm showing you. Once it's a bit cooler and thicker, I add it to each mini cake this way, forming the drip. Then a little decoration on top, which is totally optional. But it tastes great too. When you eat it, that bit of chocolate really adds something. I use compound chocolate. You can use any type of chocolate you like, in any color or flavor. I put the remaining cream in a piping bag fitted with a 4B star tip and pipe a lovely decoration on top of each mini cake. Then I add a teaspoon of crushed pistachios, a few raspberries, and a little mint to each cake, totally optional. You can personalize it however you like. You can change the flavor of the sponge too. You could make it chocolate. It would look beautiful with the white cream and banana inside. And that's it. You can place it in the fridge to chill or serve it right away. As I always say in my tutorials, thank you so much for being here. Huge thanks to all the new members of my channel. I'm so happy to see more and more people joining, supporting, and showing love every day. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Support me by sharing this video and all the ones you're watching. That way you help more people discover me. I hope you liked this recipe. See you very soon. Thank you so much and see you next time.